Hi, everyone, and welcome to SCI Fridays. Today, I'm here with Alistair Pugin and Colin Erasmus from Microsoft South Africa.
Nick, this is the first episode of SCI Fridays, not to be confused with TGI Fridays, which is where you go for food and drink.
That's right. That's right. And the show has got a very, very different focus. And what we want to do today is we want to do a very short but very concise, so a few minutes worth of content, something for you to chew on and then get on with your Friday. And so to keep things short and concise, we're going to very quickly get into our topic. And for that, I'm going to hand over to you, Alistair.
So welcome, everyone. Like Nick says, we're going to try and keep this short and simple, and that's not easy to do when you've got both myself and Nick on the show. We're going to cover two things, and today's guest on the show is none other than Colin Erasmus, and he's no relation of Dean Erasmus, although they work in the same building. And what you'll see probably in about episode 24, we're going to do a collage of the things that we're doing with Colin, and Colin's our petri dish for the type of show that we are going to want to be producing. So the first thing we're going to be doing, because it's security, compliance, and identity, is really asking our guests, what does governance mean to you? And that's the actual question today before we run into the second part, because we can actually tap into Colin a little bit more. But it's really around, what does governance mean to you when it comes to Microsoft 365 workloads in the cloud? Colin?
So, Alistair, I don't know if I've ever been referred to as a petri dish before, but that's okay. I'll take it. Always good to speak to you. So maybe for myself, and you're right. You're right to have, I think, brought it down to Microsoft 365, because I mean there's so much around governance. But for me, at the end of the day, it's really how we establish reputable or repeatable processes and policies that we can monitor continuously for a certain implementation or outcome that we are looking for. And if I just use a quick example from an information governance standpoint, and I think this is where it becomes quite critical for us, it's really about how we make sure that our data is guaranteeable, right? That our data is available, that it's usable, that our data's integrity is not questioned, and that it's secure. And really, at the end of the day, what does the processes look like around that in order to maintain the governance of our data? And I will say one thing, because you spoke about identity at the end of the day. Identity governance for me is as critical. You know, zero trust as an example. We talk about zero trust. We talk about verifying explicitly. We talk about just in time. We talk about working under the condition of breach. So the same thing for me. What does the governance mean or look like from an identity point of view that I can prove to somebody, an auditor for that matter, that I've done what is required in order to fulfill those needs?
Fantastic answer.
Colin, can you actually just...
Alistair's not sure, because he's mulling that over.
No, there were two things, right? One, Colin, can you actually introduce who you are and what is it that you do? Because we completely skipped that step, right?
No. That's a good one, and I thought you're actually right.
From a governance point of view, we just failed.
But maybe that was part of the governance, Nicolas. You know, we've got Papia nowadays. I don't know if I should be letting that information out, but we'll do it. So, Alistair, yes, Colin Erasmus, long title. I'm the Modern Work and Security Business Group Lead for Microsoft South Africa, which really means that I look after the product sets all the way from Teams, the full M365 stack, all the way through to our security consumption products like Sentinel, as an example.
And yes, it is a when to use what, and we've got things like Microsoft Loop coming, and that's just going to add another title to that alphabet soup that you have to worry about in Microsoft 365, which is why governance is at the forefront of where we are going with this new concept of hybrid work. In the beginning, you know, when we started helping customers move to the cloud, we used to say hybrid's a journey, right? And in that case, it was around applications running on-prem versus applications running in the cloud. And hybrid means different things to different people. Today's modern work, hybrid is really about where you're working from. And hybrid is no longer a journey. It's not like when COVID ends, people going, are going physically back to work, because we've got this
mm.
hybrid work from anywhere model. And in your opinion, Colin, what does hybrid really mean, and where's Microsoft going with this sort of hybrid approach to working from anywhere? You're no longer just a digital nomad. Technology is now being approached from a hybrid perspective. We've seen, what is it called? It was a weird name, and that was at Ignite around, what was it? It was the alt space VR thing that we were doing inside of Teams. It's a product as well now. So where's Microsoft with this hybrid work in South Africa specifically?
So let me, before I answer the South Africa question, and we've put a lot of time and effort into this from a Microsoft standpoint, because we've realized exactly that, right? That, everyone talks about the new normal, and I think this is now where we are. I think hybrid work is the new normal. I think in South Africa, we're moving from remote work now to hybrid work. I was actually, the other day, I was back in the office. I had to go and do some stuff, and I got onto the highway, and I was like, wow, it's like a rush hour traffic before the pandemic. So clearly people are going back, and people are still at home doing recordings, etc., etc. So I think we are firmly now in this hybrid work scenario.
Yes.
And the other thing that we have seen is this hybrid paradox, where we have surveyed a lot of people as Microsoft, and people are saying, you know what, I love this remote work thing because it gave me flexibility. That was cool. But I miss the connection. So, and that's where the paradox come. And that's why I think you're spot on, where hybrid work has become so important, and that we need to tool for hybrid work today. Microsoft actually has a new operating model around hybrid work, where people is at the center. So exactly what you mentioned, Alistair. So people becomes the center. Places, and to your point, that places can mean anything now, right? That places can mean you're sitting at work, you're sitting at home. Even geographically, that can be different, right? Because you now have people that potentially that worked in Johannesburg that can go and work out of Cape Town now if they want to. I don't know why they'd want to do that, but they can do that if they want to. And then the processes around that, what you need from a process and a technology point of view. So from a South African point of view, we're absolutely seeing it. We're seeing the numbers. We've seen the growth in digital and cloud adoption. As far as it goes from an M365 standpoint. The one thing I do want to say there as well, that South Africa has seen, and we haven't been immune from it, is security. And that's the one thing I do want to mention around hybrid work, because we mustn't forget that. And I think it becomes more complex from a hybrid work standpoint. So to answer your question very, very briefly, I know it was a bit of a long answer. We're seeing it. We're seeing the cloud adoption. We did an IDC survey in June that shows that more and more people want to move to the cloud in the next 18 months for security and for hybrid work reasons. So we're seeing the adoption in South Africa in a big way.
Awesome. And thank you very much for your time today, Colin. As Nick said earlier on, we got to keep it under 8 minutes so that people actually stay till the end. And
That's right.
Going forward with episodes on SCI Fridays, we will be grabbing these sort of nuggets of information from industry experts and business group leads like Colin. And just a big thanks for spending time with us today. And we'll catch you on the next episode of SCI Fridays. Ciao, ciao.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.